ordered wrong food, regretted it all over his lap. Petty revenge. The Friday night dinner rush at the Olive Grove was a beast. A beautiful, money-making beast, but a beast nonetheless. I, Sarah, was one of its tamer. I knew the menu inside and out, remembered regulars' orders and their kids' names, and could navigate the crowded dining room with a tray full of pasta like a seasoned pro. Accuracy was my religion. A happy customer was a good tip, and a good tip meant rent. Tonight, though, the beast was winning. Every table was full, the kitchen was backed up, and the air hung thick with the smells of garlic and simmering tomato sauce and the rising tide of tension. I was running on caffeine and sheer willpower when Mark walked in. I knew him instantly. Mark. The kind of guy who wore his entitlement like an expensive cologne, overpowering and unpleasant. He was always dressed impeccably, always had a complaint ready, and always managed to make you feel like you were personally responsible for all the world's problems. He gave the hostess, a sweet college student named Jessica, a withering look when she led him to a table near the kitchen. "Is this the best you can do?" he drawled, loud enough for half the restaurant to hear. Jessica, bless her heart, just plastered on a smile and said, "We're very busy tonight, sir. This is the only table available." I drew the short straw. My section. Fantastic. He didn't even acknowledge me when I approached the table, just continued scrolling through his phone, a condescending frown etched on his face. "Can I get you something to drink, sir?" I asked, my voice carefully neutral. He finally looked up, his eyes cold and assessing. "Just water. And make sure it's cold, not like that lukewarm garbage you usually serve." Charming. I got him his water. Extra ice. A lemon wedge he didn't ask for but probably expected, and gave him a menu. He barely glanced at it before announcing, "I'll have the Mediterranean seafood pasta." Now, I knew Mark. He'd been in a few times before, and I remembered, quite distinctly, that he'd once sent back the spicy arrabbiata sauce, practically foaming at the mouth, declaring it an assault on his delicate palate. "Are you sure about that, sir?" I asked, trying to keep the skepticism out of my voice. "That pasta has a pretty significant kick to it. It's got Calabrian chili, quite a bit of red pepper flakes." He waved his hand dismissively. "I'm aware of the ingredients, thank you. I'm in the mood for something flavorful." He emphasized the word flavorful with a subtle sneer, like he was implying everything else on the menu was bland and beneath him. My gut screamed. This was a setup. He was going to order it, hate it, and then make my life a living hell. But what could I do? Refuse to serve him? That was a surefire way to get fired. "All right, sir," I said, forcing a smile. "Mediterranean seafood pasta it is." I put in the order, dread pooling in my stomach. Emily, my co-worker and resident sanity keeper, caught my eye from across the room and mouthed, "Everything okay?" I just shook my head and gave her a look that said, "Help me." The pasta arrived, smelling deliciously of seafood and, yes, a definite spicy tang. I presented it to Mark, bracing myself. He took one bite. Just one. His face immediately turned red. He started coughing, dramatically clutching his throat. Water. Water. This is an inferno. He pushed the plate away, scattering some of the pasta across the crisp white tablecloth. "What is this, some kind of joke? Did you not hear me say I wanted something flavorful? This is inedible." He raised his voice, drawing the attention of other diners. Mr. Henderson, the manager, materialized beside the table, his face a mask of strained politeness. "Is there a problem here, sir?" "A problem," Mark sputtered. This woman clearly doesn't know how to do her job. I specifically ordered something palatable. And she brings me this volcanic eruption." He glared at me, his eyes narrowed. "I bet she did this on purpose. She probably thought it would be funny." "Mr. Henderson," ever the diplomat-red coward, immediately folded. "I am so sorry, sir," he said, shooting me a pointed look. "This is unacceptable. We will comp your meal, of course. And what can we get you instead?" "Something milder?" Mark huffed, but the prospect of a free meal seemed to placate him slightly. "Fine," he said. "I'll have the creamy chicken pasta. But make sure it's actually creamy this time, not some watered-down imitation." Mr. Henderson turned to me, his voice low and urgent. Just get him whatever he wants, Sarah. And apologize. Apologize? For what? For him ordering a dish he knew he wouldn't like? For his blatant attempt to bully me? I swallowed my pride and forced out the words. I apologize, sir. I should have been more clear about the spice level. He just grunted and went back to scrolling on his phone, clearly enjoying the power he held. As I walked away to put in the new order, Emily intercepted me in the kitchen. Seriously? He's getting away with that? What else can I do? I said, my voice tight with frustration. Henderson is practically bowing down to him. I'm just trying to keep my job. I know, Emily said, patting my arm. But you can't let him win completely. Find a way to get back at him. Something small, something petty. Just something. Her words sparked something in me. She was right. I couldn't let him get away with it. I had to do something. I served him the creamy chicken pasta, which he ate without complaint, of course. He continued to be a general pain in the ass, demanding refills, complaining about the music, even sending back his water because it wasn't sparkling enough. It was filtered tap. Genius. All the while, I was plotting. Finally, he finished his meal and signaled for the check. I took a deep breath, plastered on my most saccharine smile, and grabbed the bill. This was it. As I approached his table, I subtly adjusted my grip on his water glass, the one he'd insisted be filled to the brim with ice water tap, not sparkling, of course. It was a large, heavy glass. Perfect. I placed the check on the table, then, with what I hoped was a convincing look of clumsiness, I accidentally bumped the table. Just a little nudge, but enough. The glass toppled. Ice water cascaded across the table, soaking Mark's lap in a frigid, lemon-scented deluge. He yelped, jumping back in his chair. What the hell? What did you just do? He was soaked, absolutely drenched. His expensive trousers were clinging to his legs, and his face was a mask of fury. Oh my God. I am so sorry, I exclaimed, my voice dripping with false concern. I am so clumsy, I didn't see the glass. I am so incredibly sorry. And here was the kicker. When I was refilling water, I had tossed in a generous splash of lemon juice. They wouldn't do much, but any small cuts you got from shaving, or even just dry skin, will get a nice little sting. Mr. Henderson rushed over, his face even paler than usual. What happened here? It was an accident, I cried, my performance Oscar-worthy. I tripped. I swear I am so sorry, sir. Let me get you some towels. I grabbed a handful of napkins and pressed them into Mark's hands. He just stared at me, his eyes burning with rage. He knew. He had to know. But there was no proof. It was just an accident. A stupid, clumsy accident. I'm going to sue you. I'm going to sue this restaurant. This is completely unacceptable, he bellowed. Mr. Henderson was practically begging. Please, sir, we'll do anything. Another free meal? A gift certificate? Just please don't sue us. Mark, his expensive trousers now displaying a very unfortunate wet patch, looked absolutely miserable. The lemon juice had to be stinging. The humiliation was palpable. He reluctantly accepted a mountain of napkins, a free dessert, which he refused, and a gift certificate which he snatched with a venomous glare. As he stood to leave, attempting to salvage some shred of dignity, he slipped slightly on the wet floor near his table, flailing for a moment before regaining his balance. Another wave of mortification washed over his face. I watched him go, my heart soaring with a sense of petty, glorious satisfaction. Emily gave me a discreet thumbs up from the bar. You are my hero, she mouthed. Mr. Henderson, of course, wasn't thrilled. He pulled me aside later. Sarah, I know Mark can be difficult, he said, his voice weary. But you have to be more careful. We can't afford these kinds of incidents. I know, Mr. Henderson, I said, my voice contrite. It was a genuine accident. I swear. I'll be more careful in the future. He just sighed and rubbed his temples. Just try to avoid him in the future, okay? Okay, I said, and meant it. The rest of the night passed without incident. The Olive Grove buzzed with its usual Friday night energy. I continued to serve tables, refill drinks, and clear plates. But beneath the surface, I carried a secret, the the sweet, sweet taste of revenge, served ice-cold and lemon-scented. Mark would be back, I knew it. He was the kind of guy who couldn't resist the allure of a potential complaint. But next time, I'd be ready. Next time, he might think twice before messing with the wrong waitress.